Hey, hello. I'm just Bodo, and you can just call me Bodo. Welcome to my rogue gear and weapons video. Now, this video has been requested. We have a lot of stuff here that we're going to go over, and I just want to say thank you to the people that pretty much been bugging me. Hey, what weapons should I be using? What jewelry should I be using? What armor should I be using? I've been trying to reply to you guys, but I feel like enough people have commented on it that I just need to make a video. Now, one of the reasons why I kind of hesitated to make this video is that we just recently went through a very big gear rebalancing. We also went through a, I guess you could say, a gear fundamental change in terms of like health scaling and how heavy things are weighted stat wise. So it's not just like oh, things got tweaked. It was like a more like concept of like, hey, should tanks have like 20k health? Things like that. It was crazy in that PTR. But yeah, now that things have kind of cooled down, I don't think Intrepid are actually going to make any more changes in the future. In terms of right now, the big change that I do know that is coming is probably going to be, I don't want to say Q1, but I think they said it was like 9 months out of a major weapon rebalance change. They're going to change the skill trees. So yeah, if you're reading this stuff while I'm explaining, I try my best. But today what we're going to do is that we're going to cover early level. We're going to cover leveling up. So if you start the game as rogue, going from like 1 to 9, 10 to 19, and then also the best stuff, like once you hit Radiant. What I will say for people is that there's a lot of information in this video. I have a lot of stuff here. I'm kind of lean back, so you can see the stuff that I have on video. Sure, mine's... Oh, I'm not gonna interfere with anything. Let's start with early level. Let's make this quick and dirty. Early level, you don't really want to buy gear. You may want to buy weapons. You don't even want to buy jewelry, really. You want to get to like level 10, and then you want to get add up gear. You definitely want to buy level 10 weapons. In terms of buying level 10 gear, maybe just buy enough pieces so that you can survive. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need a full sweat of adept to get to level 20. But if you're a tank or a cleric, you do need gear. Unfortunately, it's just you're going to be taking all the abuse, and you're going to have to keep everybody alive. So if you're a cleric or a tank, you're screwed. But if you're a rogue, you're not. You're DPS, baby. So what does this mean? This means even from novice and adept gear, you just want physical damage or power, max health, physical defense, which you're going to get from heavy armor, and magic defense, which you're going to get from light armor. Maybe you choose to go with medium armor, and you get a nice blend between the two. But a lot of the pieces you really want to look out for, and you definitely want to roll need for, is anything that has power and max health. It's just super important early game. In terms of all the other stats, does not matter. Once you get to level 20, then we can start worrying about accuracy and crit chance and crit power and crit evasion and crit defense and defense. But just leveling, this is all we care about. Survivability and damage, baby. Now, in terms of waterfall stats, if you get light or medium armor, it's typically going to be strength, dex focus with constitution mentality. You get heavy armor, it's more going to be constitution mentality focus with strength, dexterity. I highly recommend, if you're going to play rogue as you're leveling, I would tend to lean more towards heavy armor. But at the same time, because you know your melee, you might get cleaved and stuff like that, and most of the damage, especially early game, especially as you're leveling, is physical damage. There isn't a lot of magical damage until you get to like specific POIs and like some bosses and stuff like that, and spellcaster mobs and stuff like that. But most of the time your tank's taking that damage. So really the primarily thing as you're leveling you just want to focus on is just these 4 things. That's it. Okay. So let's talk about these bonuses. Fortitude, force, and finesse as you're leveling up. If you want to try and get a 5 piece, you can. but I would not try to do like 5 fortitude, 5 heavy, or 5 force, 5 medium, like chasing like a full set, until you're radiant at least. And the reason why is just because we're just trying to progress as fast as we can. We're just trying to get out of anything 19 and below and into 20 as quick as possible. We don't worry about it. And then once you get to 20, so let's say we hit 20, in terms of our gear, that's when it's like, okay, we want all of this plus, you know, these secondary stats. So if we have damage and max health, we also like crit chance is nice, accuracy is useful, crit power is useful, then that's when we start weaving the pieces. So let's say we hit 20. So what is the best gear to get? Well, whatever is an upgrade, really, because what's going to be happening with this game is you're going to be going upgrade to upgrade and eventually to a set that is like BIS. So the BIS set for Rogue, which hasn't even changed from previous playthroughs, is Rosarium. So let's take a look at Rosarium. Rosarium has heavy, so physical defense is increased by 10%, and it has fortitude. Constitution and mentality is increased by 15%. Now, I might be wondering, do I really want this for Rogue? Yeah, you want it for Rogue. Unfortunately, you're a melee class dude. It's going to help a lot in like 20v20s to keep you up and alive. But in like 1v1s, 8v8s, 5v5s, 4v4s, be able to shrug off damage while just being an annoying gnat to a cleric is actually super powerful. You're also going to get a lot of damage out of the set. A lot of fizz power. You're going to see the secondary stats. A lot of fizz power, max health, fizz power, crit power, physical crit power, crit defense, fizz power, physical crit defense, evasion, physical crit power. You're going to see in the set bonuses, we have physical power, stuff like that. And as you get like better rarities, so let's say all this is green, you're going to have like better set bonuses and gear bonuses from heavy and fortitude. It's all purple. It's going to be even better. If you have a mixed match, it would always be to the lowest. So let's say you have 3 purples. You'll have a two piece at the purple stat. But your 4 pieces, like if the rest were green, your 4 piece would be green and your 6 piece would be green and so on. And that's pretty much how it works with like armor, but Rosarium is by far the one I recommend. The second one I'd recommend is Blood Runner. I think Blood Runner is a very nice set. Essentially, you have Siphon, which if we look in the game, leatherworking, blood, press T. With Siphon, you get grants a 10% chance on hit to siphon your target, deal 100% spirit damage, and heal you for the same amount. This trigger is on the cooldown for 60 seconds upon activation. And this just auto procs. There is no like little bar you get. Abundant Siphon, reduce the cooldown by 30 seconds. And Greater Siphon, when the Siphon triggers, it also triggers a leech effect that transfers 25% of the spirit damage health every second for 4 seconds. It's a nice little upgrade, not really necessary. I would just go 6 piece with Blood Runner. If you want to like style on people, go 8 pieces. Well, who cares? But if I wanted to min-max a little, I would just go 6 piece Blood Runner and then maybe put a little bit more fizz on physical defense, like maybe some more heavy pieces on me. It is a medium and fortitude. So you're definitely going to get the 6 piece medium, and you'll have 6 piece fortitude. If you were to mix and match, especially with the Rosarium, if you're not going to do the full set, if you are going to mix and match, it's very unlikely you'll be able to get a second set because you only have you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you have 13 total slots for your gear, but the ones that contribute towards your armor is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you were trying to split, the most you could have is 5 of one set and 3 of another. So that's just a. This is also a cleric, by the way. This is not a rogue. Let me just make sure I don't AFK. All right. So let's talk about you're at BIS, you're at 20, you're starting to farm up your sets. You don't necessarily need the full set of Rosarium. If I had to choose, I'd just not worry about Vamp Races, not worry about Tacits. And then I'd get some magic defense into our set here, and I'd get like some light armor bracers that also gives us max health and damage and dexterity, or even mana if you really want to. And then let's say you wanted to pick up like a 2-piece. So we had this mescaline. If we had the bracers and the tacits, we could have also get some constitution, sneak some constitution from that set bonus as well. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. And then for our cape, as you can see, we got a magic defense, we got max health. I think max health is just too good, dude. I think when it comes to capes, you just want to go with max health. But magic defense to balance yourself out is also very good too. That way, mages just don't blow you up. I think it's really important to have a balanced stats when it comes to that. Okay, we got a little edit here. Now let's talk about weapons. The more damage up in here for our melee weapons, because melee weapons are just typically a stat stick for us. We really don't care about using them at all. I know there's some people like to do it for a theme, RP or the theme of it, or they're just like, I'm a melee dude, I need to use my big weapon. Typically, we're going to be using a short bow all the time. Or a long bow, if we're doing 20v20s. But if we're doing 1v1s to 8v8s, we just want more damage, more power. We want to do more damage. Once you get into the bigger content, we definitely want more max HP. The extra damage we get really doesn't translate that well. And usually in 20v20s, we're there to shut down clerics, dive when the dive team decides to go in, flank around to the back with the flank team, or do some allowing the tanks to grapple people in, and then you jump on the person and lock them down so the tank can flip a wall to prevent them from escaping, stuff like that. There's a lot of other things you're doing than just damage when it comes to like 20v20s or just large scale in general. Now when it comes to our range, in 1v1s up to 8v8s, we're using a short bow, 110%. Going to a long bow is a DPS loss, even if it gives us more stats. And that's just because of the procs and the triggers that we get from our kit. And also how our kit plays around with short bow in terms of like the speed at which we get those procs and those triggers as well. Now, max health, because we're getting in 1v1s, we're getting a lot of damage from, let's say, our Night Reaver Great Axe. I'd want to balance that out and get a lot of max health, because with weapons in particular, you get a lot more weighted stats when it comes to like things like power or physical damage or even max health. A lot more heavier weighted stats. So I like balancing it out. If you find a short bow that gives you a lot of power and you want to go that direction, by all means, go ahead. The longbow here is more damage. It's going to give us more damage just naturally, just off of the I guess, what would you call it? The natural weapon stat of the weapon. I don't know. Maybe I'm saying it weird. But I'm still getting max health here because we're typically using a longbow in 20v20. You can find longbows that have like a super amount of damage on it, crit chance and stuff like that. But really, the only reason we're taking the longbow is for larger scale content, and we just want the max health. So let's talk about jewelry. Now, when it comes to jewelry, I think Petal Shard, especially for Rogue, is still the best. It's very well balanced, and it's giving a lot of stuff that we want. A lot of power, a lot of crit chance, a lot of crit chance power. We're getting max health through a lot of these items here. And we're getting some crit defense. We're getting a lot of accuracy just from having 2 earrings. It's just really good secondary stats and main stats, which is power for us, and max health. So yeah, I would go with Pedal Shard, and that's pretty much the level 20 BIS setup I would go. In terms of weapons and weapon skill tree, very quickly, where's my skill book? The only skill tree that really matters is just the short bow. You're never using your melee weapon. It's just a stat stick, guys. I know some people are like, but I want to role play, or I want to have the theme be melee. Guys, I got people in my guild. Use a great axe, you get extra fizz damage, or use a great sword. You get the extra bonuses to attack speed and fizz damage as well by 15%. Those are the two if you really want to role play like the 2-hand rogue, whatever. It's just a stat stick. Please, for the love. That was all good and holy. Just use your short bow or longbow in 20v20. But for the short bow, for the longbow skill tree, it doesn't matter, dude. You can almost copy what I have here for the longbow, because instead of using like snare or bleed, you'll be using wound. And in the top end of the skill tree, it does not matter if longbow. I kind of forget what they have. I probably should have checked it before making this video, but like, if you're playing rogue and you're not using a short bow, you're just doing it wrong. So let's get into the short bow skill tree. Short bow. You can run this a few different ways. I think this is the best way, especially for how I play. I like to make people's lives miserable. So what does that mean? I'm going to be running snare. Now, you could run bleed. You can run double bleed. I used to run double bleed. I like having the extra damage. But I like running double snare because I like to make people want to not want to play the game when I'm playing rogue, because that's my job. My job is to slow you down and CC lock you until you want to alt F4, and then I decide to do the damage. That's how you play rogue. So starting off, we're going to do this as if you're leveling up first, and I'll be explaining the tree as we move up the tree. So let's begin. So let's say, actually, let's respect. Let's do this as if you got a short bow at like level 9 and you're slowly progressing. So when you start off the short bow, I would just go for the bleed. If you're leveling, just go for bleed until you get to level 20, where you can be a little bit more safer and you have some gear on you. I would just stay with bleed the entire way. You just do more damage for your groups, for your leveling groups. Stay consistent. Once you start fighting, though, once you start actually doing PvP, I would swap to snare. Boom. That's why I rock snare. Can run bleed on snare. And I know people, too, that also mix and match. They'll do snare here, and they'll do bleed here. Or they'll reverse it. They'll do bleed here, and they'll do snare up here. It's up to you. So the build that I prefer to run is the trigger chance. There is an alternate way of just building stuff like just raw damage with your finishers and stuff like that. And there's even a cool way of doing it where instead of going for your keystones up here, like the big important ones, you just double in with your trigger chance, and you also you buff all the finishers and deadly finishers that you'll also get more of if your trigger chance to do more damage. It's an alternate way of doing it. I don't recommend it because specifically with rogue, we are trying to obtain bullseye, double bullseye, and aerostorm, the upper one, flexible extended finishers, just to get more, squeeze more damage out of our kit. So let's begin. Snare or bleed if you're leveling up. Then we go into deadly finisher, trigger chance, max that out. Penetration, because all penetration is good penetration. It's very hard to get penetration as a stat. So there's an argue that this just affects our weapon combo tag, but it can be an overall DPS increase if you're fighting someone that's really heavily targeted. If you do not want to do that, Critical projectiles stack very well with Aerostorm. So you could also just do this as well. I am just going to run penetration because I just think it's better. Then if you're leveling up, refreshing follow through, very good. Get some mana regen right off the bat. If you're level 20, I prefer ward. Then we want to go to penetration because we want more penetration. Critical damage because we just want more damage. Proc duration, which is very handy. Like I said, if we're just leveling, we want bleed, but because we're not doing that, while we're level 20, I'd rather have my snare. Then we'll go for critical hit avoidance because it's very good, but we're not going to pick up the disable power, and that's just because I've noticed when me and my guild have tried to experiment, well, Osington specifically have tried to experiment with disable power and duration and accuracy and all that. It doesn't move the needle enough. It really does not move the needle enough, so you don't really need it. So I wouldn't waste using this slot on that at all. More trigger chance. Then inner fire is the best keystone. It's going to remain the best keystone until they remove it. Any mana, stamina, or health regen or flat gain we can get back is just too powerful. Crushing blow, there's an argument for. Rhythmic swings, there's an argument for with different build trees, but like I think inner fire is just the way to go. It's just the easiest, most consistent between PvP and PvE. And getting mana is really important. Bullseye, this will be the first kind of divots between the two up here. We go in bullseye, and then right after we want to go for double bullseye. Both of these cost 2 to get. Then we'll go Aerostorm into flexible extended finisher, Aerostorm. Now, I want to say this. There is an argument for not taking these two in Aerostorm. I do. So if I press confirm, and we zoom out, this is what I run. It's very consistent. If you want to min-max it a little bit, you do this. Do short bow. It's the way to go. I'm stubborn, and I think penetration is just too good. Especially when you're fighting like heavy armor guys. In terms of min-maxing this even further, let's say we just don't care about Aerostorm, because there are some people that just do not care about Aerostorm. I would probably invest into extended finisher damage because it's 3%. So you go 1, 2, 3, and boom. Whenever you do extended finisher or deadly extended finisher, you're getting a 9% increase to damage. Another one I would do is finisher and deadly finisher. This is arguably easier to keep proccing, and it's also a 9% increase. Now the crazy builds that I've seen, you know what? They're actually pretty good. Let's just say you do not care about this crit chance here at all. Boom, boom. You can spend it on extend finishers and deadly finishers increased by 9%. And then I would add the extra penetration for all weapon combos and stuff like that. I have seen people run this. It's actually not bad. If you think about it, if you're really just trying to get the odd weapon proc here and there, like you're not trying to get multiple weapon procs, you're not going to really be stacking bullseye that much, and you're probably not going to be triggering and maintaining Aerostorm that much. So let's say you're weaving effectively, you're getting the odd weapon proc, you're playing very in and out like I do. This is probably the most effective for burst damage that I would probably build. But like I said, I prefer to do this. This is what I run. And the reason why is because bullseye, we'll read it. Your deadly finisher and deadly extended finisher empowers your next ability. deadly finisher, or deadly extended finisher. So it's your next ability, deadly finisher, or deadly extended finisher, used within 5 seconds, with a 25% bonus to critical strike chance. And when you get the double bullseye, you can now get 2. You can stack it up twice, and you will consume on a deadly extended finisher. Sorry, it will. The 25% bonus will work. Will if you have the stack, it will work as if it was consumed, but it will not consume it. So you keep that stack at least, which helps you to consistently have at least one bullseye up for a backstab, which is very useful. But yeah, and with Aerostorm, a deadly extended finisher immediately after a deadly finisher triggers Aerostorm. It's going to last 4 seconds, and every projectile that you would shoot 1 additional projectile to do 5% pierce damage. And then with this one, any extended finisher immediately after a deadly finisher now triggers Aerostorm as well. So just more consistency. When I fight, there are times where I will play from distance and I'll use my smoke bomb, sit my smoke bomb, and just trade damage. And that's when I find building up bullseye and triggering Aerostorm for the damage increase. That's when it works very well. And when in a lot of range matchups, you're going to be spamming your auto attacks, dipping in and out of aggression in melee form and stuff like that. So I just use this build for consistency. If you're not going to do that at all, then the most amount of burst, like if you're just going to do 1 or 2 weapon combos, is this version of the build. Boom. Penetration. Sorry. And we want this penetration. If you're going the critical projectile route for Aerostorm, it's also very good, but like if you're doing the like the more burst style, then I would just go penetration. And yeah, that's it. I'm sorry this video took way too long. I've recorded this video like 5 or 6 times, but there's just so much information when it comes to min-maxing your gear and up in skill trees and this and that. But I hope this helps you out. I hope you like the video. In terms of gear, unfortunately, I'm probably gonna have to make a follow-up to this video. I know in the future they're gonna chain weapons. The skill trees that we have right now are essentially placeholder. They're not even supposed to be the final product. In terms of gear stats for right now, I think we're safe. I don't think we're gonna get anything more added to it. But yeah, I really hope this is the video that everybody was looking for. I did not want it to be this long, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff you have to look at, and leveling versus finding your abysses, and longbow versus shortbow, and yeah, it sucks. But I'll tell you this. If you're willing to experiment and you find something better or more efficient, let me know. Comment below. Leave a like if you like the video. That kind of rhyme. That was kind of cool. And yeah, this is probably the last rogue video I'm going to make. I might do a Q&A answering all the questions in the comments after this, and that might be the actual last rogue video for now. If you can't tell, I am playing a cleric. So what does that mean? That means once I start doing scrims and I start getting better in terms of PvP and stuff like that with the cleric, everything that we have done with the rogue, we will be doing with the cleric. So I'm really excited because I think cleric is one of those classes. Everybody thinks cleric is easy, but it's really not, because compared to everything else, you don't really have a lot of movement. Really got to rely on your dodge rolls and your winds of salvation to really move around and stay alive. And also, you're just always being hard focused. You're always being focused in a lot of fights. So positioning and understanding comps and matchups, like stuff like that. I think the cleric video will be more in-depth and more analytical than the rogue video, because it's just one of those sleeper giants, man. Like it's It looks easy. It actually does play pretty easy too. But the ceiling, man, the ceiling for Cleric, I believe, is higher than Rogue. Now, Rogue has a higher mechanical ceiling. I think Cleric has like the highest positioning and matchup knowledge and like uh team composition knowledge out of all the classes, which is obvious because like typically you're the anchor of the team and you're always being focused. So knowing how to play within your team and around your team and how you need to tell your team to play around you, it's very important. It's just going to be the highest knowledge gap class, I believe, in the game. Rogue and Bard are way more mechanical, matchup dependent knowledge. Cleric is still matchup dependent knowledge, but it's like positioning and all this other stuff on top of it. But like I said, it's easier to play. It's just, I think it's a sleeper giant. It's one of those classes. But yeah, if you enjoy the video and have a nice day.